StraightallDay.com.
Now tuned into the show where you learn the discipline to show up day after day to do the work, the confidence to put yourself out there boldly and authentically, and the mental toughness to continue showing up, doing the work, putting yourself out there, even when the success you've expected to achieve has yet to be achieved. And on top of all this, you get a huge dose of personal initiative, which is the go-getter energy that moves any one of us, including yourself, to go and make things happen instead of waiting for things to happen. And then we put all this together into a series of frameworks, approaches, insights, strategies, and techniques, all underneath the umbrella of one unifying philosophy that is called Work on Your Game. My name is Dre Baldwin, also known as Dre All Day, and welcome to the show. And today's topic is, it is supposed to be hard. Yes, it is supposed to be hard. That's the topic. Before we get into this, though, I remind everybody, I send out a text message every morning that is guaranteed to have you focused, sharp, and on point. I send it to you for free, straight to your phone every day. I already know you want this text. I'm going to give you another reason why you want it, because I gave it a name. I call it the Daily Motivation, and it does exactly what I told you it was going to do. You want to get this text, so all you got to do to get it tomorrow morning is text me right now, 305-384-6894, and every day when the Daily Motivation comes out, just because you're a member of my texting community, you'll be getting this message straight to your phone. And again, focused, sharp, on point. You'll start your day like that. Now, the question is, all right, I'll start my day focused, sharp, and on point, but a day is 24 hours long. Dre, a text message is only, it takes me, 10 seconds to read a text message? What am I going to do with the rest of the day after I start my day being focused, sharp, and on point? That is a great question. I got a great answer for you. Here's what you do. You join Work on Your Game University, because that is the place where I work with people one-on-one. That's the place where I have group coaching programs. That's the place where all of my best trainings and courses on mindset, strategies for your business, for your personal life, systems, meaning how can you do things the way you want them done over and over and over again in a predictable, consistent way, and accountability. How do you make sure that all the stuff you know you want to do, you're actually held accountable to do? All that happens inside of Work on Your Game University. All you have to do to join the university is go to workonyourgameuniversity.com. Links to both the text and to the university are down below in the description, wherever you are consuming this episode. So with that said, let's get into the topic, which is, it is supposed to be hard. Now, this episode is another one of those cold splash of water, slap in the face episodes that people need from time to time, very often, as a matter of fact, to remind you of how things are supposed to be in this life, as opposed to the fairy tale that some of you have been sold by well-meaning, but ultimately unknowing individuals. Okay, that's what this topic is today. It is supposed to be hard. Some of you have been taught or you have been made to believe. It's not even that you were taught. You've been made to believe that things are supposed to be different. I'm here to let you know that no, they're not. Let's get into it. Point number one. Topic again is supposed to be hard. Standards are what they are because they are not always easy to stick to. Let me say that sentence again. Standards are what they are because they are not always easy to stick to. If standards were easy to stick to, then I wouldn't even have to preach about standards. I only preach about stuff that is not that are not normal things that people normally think or normally do or normally live out. Why? Because if I was just talking about stuff that you're already doing consistently, then there'd be no need for me in the marketplace. I would have no reason for existing. There'd be no reason for me to sell anything, say anything, publish anything, post anything, because I'm telling you stuff that you quote unquote already know. Now, sometimes I publish things here and people will say stuff like, Dre, you're telling me stuff that, I do feel like I already know, but you're giving me good, solid reminders of these things. So those are okay. Now, sometimes people tell me that they already know these things. So there's a difference between knowing things and actually doing them. So many times I'll talk about things here on the show that it may not be the first time you've ever considered the concept. Sometimes there are things I say is the first time you considered the concept, but many times I may say things on the show that it is not the first time you've ever considered the concept. However, even though you have heard of it and you quote unquote know it, you haven't been doing it. And it's a big difference between, again, being aware of a concept and actually living out a concept. And there are levels to knowledge here. All right, there's a level of you don't know something until you're actually doing it, but you don't really know it until you're teaching it. And the only way you can teach something is you probably need to have some experience actually being involved in the thing. All right, if you aren't out there in the field actually doing the thing, you probably ain't qualified to teach it. You know what I'm saying? So even if you feel like you already know something, you still got to actually do something with it. So standards, none of you has just been introduced to the concept of a standard by listening to the show. I'm sure you've heard the word before somewhere. If you have a job, there are standard operating procedures, all right, standard, even though you may not have thought of it in that way. The reason that standards are standards, and the reason why so few people have standards, And the reason why people claim to have standards, yet their lives are not a reflection of these alleged standards, is because you are not living up to the standards, even though you claim that they're in place. See, some of you had a standard of you're going to be in shape, but you're out of shape. You had a standard of you're going to make a certain amount of money, but you're not making it. You have a standard of you're going to be consistent and disciplined and persistent in what you do, but you're being everything other than those things. See, a standard is a standard because it's not easy to do it. See, the reason that you're not in shape is not because you don't have the desire to be in shape. It's simply because it's hard to stay in shape for you. It's hard to make the kind of money that you want to make for you. It's hard for you to live up to the ideals that you have set for yourself. These things are difficult to do. And I want you to understand something. They're supposed to be difficult. That's the reason why they're standards. That's the reason why so few people have them. This is the reason why most people are not successful in life. I told you this in 100 different episodes of this show. I told you the reason why most people are not successful, because the things that are required to be successful are not mysteries to anyone. It's simply that people are not disciplined enough to do the work because they don't have the structure in place that allows them or puts them in a position to where they can be disciplined enough to do the work, which leads to the confidence, which leads to the performance, which leads to the rewards and the results and the rewards, in that order. Standards are easy to talk about. Anybody who wants to advance in any aspect of life, you can do so by simply raising or creating, then raising your standard for that area. You want better health? Raise your standard. All right, right now on my desk, if you're watching this on video, I got a bag of organic triple washed baby spinach, 365 brand, straight from Whole Foods. Why am I showing you that? Not to impress you, but because anybody can buy it. It costs $2.99. All of you can afford it. If you can afford that phone, if you can't afford it, sell your phone and buy a bunch of bags of spinach. I'm showing you that to impress upon you that I have a standard that I need to eat a certain amount of fruits and vegetables every single day. That's a standard for me. Now, you might hate eating raw, organic, triple washed spinach. Well, you can eat it in a different way. And the challenge for many of you is just getting over the hump of how do I actually incorporate this into my daily life? That is a form of a habit. All you need for that is a process. You need a standard. How do I make this work? What have I told you many times? Structure creates discipline. So you don't have to force yourself to eat organic triple wide spinach raw straight out the bag like I do. You can make it into a salad. You can mix it into a smoothie. It rips out some of the natural benefits that you get from the spinach, but you still get more than you are getting now. The zero that you're getting right now from eating none of it. The whole point is, standards are standards because they're not easy to live up to and they're not easy to stick with. Anytime you want to get better in any aspect of your life, the first thing you need to ask yourself is, what standard do I need to put in place? A standard is just the rule that you're setting for yourself. And any rule that is constantly not enforced is not actually a rule. It's a suggestion or a wish or a hope. Many of you got a bunch of suggestions, wishes, and hopes. You don't have standards. And this is the reason why you're underperforming based on your own goals. You must understand what a standard actually is and what it really means. The standard is a baseline. It means nothing less is acceptable. That's what a standard is. It's a nothing less is acceptable level of performance or achievement for you that you set for yourself. You're making $50,000 a year and you set a standard of making $75,000 a year. That means it's completely unacceptable for you to make $65,000 this year. You're making $500,000 a year. You set a standard that I'm going to make $800,000 a year. Then making $750,000 is completely unacceptable. That's what a standard means. Completely unacceptable, which means you will do anything and everything that it takes to hit your standards, whatever that standard happens to be, up to and including doing things that are uncomfortable for you to do. Now let that 5-second pause sit there because I want you to digest that point fully. When you have a real standard, you do things up to and including the stuff that is uncomfortable for you. Why? Because your standard is more important than your comfort. So what standards do you have in place in your life right now? I'm not asking you to dig into your brain and figure this out. Let me tell you how you can know what standards you have in place in your life right now. Look at your life. Look at every aspect of your life. Look at your relationships. Look at your friendships. Look at your business. Look at your bank account. Look at your finances. Look at your health. Look at your mindset. Look at the way that you use or don't use time. All of those are reflections of your standards. If you don't like what you see, then what you need to change are your standards. You don't need more how to. You just need to change the standard. So if your standard is you continually waste time and you find yourself going to bed an hour and a half later than you planned on because you always get on social media and you start scrolling, then you need to set a standard that based on that standard, you will go to bed the time that you want to go to bed, which means you're setting a hard and fast rule on yourself that for which nothing less is acceptable. That's what a standard looks and feels like. Unfortunately, for a lot of you, you lack the self-discipline to actually do this. You don't lack the knowledge because I just gave it to you. So even if you never thought of this, now you have the knowledge. I just closed your knowledge gap by telling you exactly what to do. So none of you can say you don't know what to do. What you don't have is the discipline to actually do it or the accountability to do it. Good news is I told you at the top of this episode where you can get accountability is right there in Work on Your Game University. See, a standard does not mean saying things and feeling good and getting yourself excited about whatever it is that you said. It means holding yourself accountable to performing at a certain level, which includes doing things that are probably out of your normal zone of comfort. Because if they were within your zone of comfort, well, you would already be doing it. The entire personal development, coaching, consulting, personal training, and other similar industries where people help other people, they're all built around this concept. That's all those industries are built around this concept. A personal trainer, a business coach, a life coach, personal development coaches, courses, live conferences. All these industries are built around this foundational concept. Moving people to do things that are out of their normal zone of comfort so that they can achieve the goals that they claim that they have. If you're serious, then you will do these things, even if you're paying somebody. People helping you set new standards and helping you live up to them. I just define the entire coaching and consulting industry right there. People helping you set new standards, then helping you live up to them. And when I say I've defined the entire industry, I'm not saying that to minimize it and make it seem like it's not valuable. I mean, I am in this industry, so I'm definitely not trying to make it seem like it's not valuable. It's very valuable. It's actually what most of you need, because most of the people who I know who exist in the top 10% of performers, whether we're talking in terms of performance, in terms of results, in terms of rewards, in terms of money, in terms of recognition, people I know who are in that top 10%, they all invest in coaching. Every single one of them invests in some form of paying someone or something else to help them set new standards and then live up to those standards. Every single one of them. There are no exceptions. Zero. Now, I want you to look at yourself and ask yourself, are you doing the same thing that those people in the top 10% are doing? You don't necessarily have to be in the top 10%, but are you following the behaviors of these people? I just told you one of their behaviors. Are you doing that? It's a yes or no question. So if it was easy for us to do all of this stuff that I'm talking about by ourselves on our own volition, then these industries would not need to exist. We wouldn't need them. Most people can't do this for themselves. This is why we have conferences, books, events, masterminds, and others, so that we can help each other do it. And I'm not saying this as some person who is immune to this. I invest, I would say, if I had to calculate, just looking at this year so far, I'm ballparking here. What I'm going to end up investing this year, at minimum $50,000 in personal and professional development. I'm going to end up investing probably more than that. I'm probably underestimating. I'm not even thinking about everything. Minimum 50,000 between coaching programs, courses, events, live events, virtual events, coaching programs, courses, and software, like programs that I sign up for that I pay for on a consistent basis. $50,000 easy this year. Probably more than that. And the year's not over, because somebody may make me an offer that I invest in that too. The number's going to go up. I'm not telling you that to impress you again, but to impress upon you that even the person who's preaching to you about this stuff, I invest in getting other entities to help me set new standards and live up to my standards. I don't do it all by myself. I'm not just sitting in some basement just figuring it all out on my own. I invest in letting other people help me get to those levels. You need to be doing the same. Point number 2. Today's topic, once again, is it is supposed to be hard. Number 2, average people are average because they do the things that most everybody else does, which is the stuff that is relatively easy for you/them, and you live in your comfort zone. So let's turn this sentence around, and I'm going to say it another way. If you're the type of person who you only do things that are relatively easy for you, and you generally live in your comfort zone, you are average. You are probably average. There was this guy back in the day, I think he's still alive. I don't know if he's still alive. This guy named Jeff Foxworthy. Some of you are familiar with him. And he built this whole brand around this whole concept of you might be a redneck. He had all those things. If you do this or that, you might be a redneck. You do this, you might be a redneck. So I'm looking up Jeff Foxworthy. He's still alive, 64 years old, stand-up film, radio, television guy. He created this whole thing called You Might Be a Redneck. And he took this whole thing around the world. He built a whole multi-million-dollar business around this whole concept of you might be a redneck. This is basically a comedy spiel that he had going on. I bring him up to say this. I can create a whole spiel around you might be average. Now, this one wouldn't sell as well as Jeff Foxworthy's because his was entertainment. And it was funny. Mine is more serious, and this is personal development, and entertainment has a much bigger audience than personal development. So I wouldn't try to make a whole business out of this. But actually, I kind of have made a business out of it, but not just focused on this. If you are a person who only does things that are relatively easy for you and you live in your comfort zone, you are likely average. Okay, so I'm just borrowing from Jeff Foxworthy's framework here. Last that I checked, you're not listening to a show called Work on Your Game because your plan is to be average. So what's the framework for not being like most people? Because most people are average by definition. The framework is, you already know the framework. You already know the answer. What's the answer? Do the opposite of what most people do. You don't want to be average. Look around at most people because most people are average and just don't do what they do. And whatever they don't do, those are things that you should do. So whatever they don't do, you do it. And whatever they are doing, don't do it. That's it. So be honest with yourself. How much average stuff are you doing on a daily basis? Average person stuff. And how much non-average stuff are you doing on a daily basis? I talk to people every day who tell me they want to level up. They want to advance in some way. I want to make more money in my business. I want to be more consistent. I need to work out more often. I need to get better with managing my time. I want to do more investing so I have more money for myself and for my kids every single day. If I showed you this text message that I get every single day of people telling me what they want to do or what they're planning on doing or what they're trying to do or what they say that they're working on right now. I get these messages every single day. When it comes to them actually doing something, because people are already telling them they want to advance in some way, shape, or form, right? But when it comes to them actually doing something that would actually allow them to level up, you know what happens to most of these people? They shrink back into their comfort zones and do what they had already been doing before they started exchanging back and forth with me. Before they started the conversation with me, whatever they were doing that led them to the position of wanting to change, they go right back to doing that old stuff that got them in a position to where they wanted to change, but they hadn't actually changed yet. In other words, people just keep living the same day over and over again their entire lives. This is what happens. This is the reason why many people remain the same in life, again, and the reason why most people are average. When it comes time to actually do the thing that will require you to be something other than average, most people get scared and they go right back into what they're used to doing and they don't change. They don't do the thing that would actually help them change. Why is this? Why do people not change when they know what they need to do to change? They've been told what they need to do to change. They agree it's what they need to do to change. But then when it comes time to actually doing it, they don't do it. Why is this? Dre, can you solve this riddle? Yes, I can solve this riddle. Let me give you an answer. All right, you should write this down. Because it's easier to do. It's easier to keep doing the same thing that you've been doing, even if that thing has not been working, than it is to do something different, even if the different thing, you have pretty good knowledge to believe that it will work. You have much more experience being average than you have being above average. I'm talking to most of you who are listening to this right now. Not everybody. A few of you are exceptions. Most of you ain't exceptions. But to be honest, it's easier for you to keep doing the things that got you to average than it would be for you to do the things that will get you to above average. Doing things that will make you above average are not going to be comfortable for you. That's the reason why you're not doing them. All right? They are not easy. They're not supposed to be easy. They ain't going to be easy. And that's the reason why you're not doing them, because they're not easy. You know what's easy? All the stuff you've been doing the last 28 years of your life. That's why you're average right now. So the question is, what do you want to do? Do you really want to get out of being average or do you not? See, the things that you would need to do to take you out of averageville would require you to adopt behaviors that are very different than those of most of the people around you. It would make you very uncomfortable to be the only one not doing the average stuff that everyone around you is doing, because most of you got a bunch of bum-ass friends. That includes your family members. And most people are not willing to deal with that level of discomfort. Most of you ain't willing to deal with the discomfort of being the only one doing something different. Most of you are not willing to be the only one waking up early while everybody else is sleeping in. You're not willing to be the one going to the gym every day while everybody else goes to the gym 3 times a week. You're not willing to be the one going to the library while everybody else is going to the movies. You're not willing to be the one eating a salad while everybody else is eating steak and French fries and with extra bacon on the side and ice cream for dessert. You're not willing to be that person. You're not willing to be different than what everybody else is doing. And forget everybody else. You're not willing to be different than who you are right now. That's the reason why you're average. Most of you are simply unwilling to deal with the discomfort that comes with actual change. This is why most people become and remain average their entire lives. It is not a lack of information. That is the least of your challenges. None of your reasons for being average is because of you lack information. It is not your ignorance that is causing you to be where you are right now. It's not your ignorance. It is your fear of stepping outside of your comfort zone. A subconscious fear, but a fear nonetheless. Point number 3. Today's topic, once again, is this supposed to be hard? Definition of hard means done with a great deal of force or strength. If you're going to make a significant and or permanent change in your life, it will require exactly what this definition says. Let me repeat what I just said. If you're going to make a significant or permanent change in your life, which again, in my line of work, I talk to you people every day. You listening to this, I talk to you every single day. And I don't mean on this show. I mean, I have exchanges with either you directly. Many of you listening to this have had an exchange with me, whether you got on a call with me on Zoom, whether you met me in person, you've been to one of my events, you have been on a live stream or something that I did, or you're in my text community, or you sent an email or a DM to me. Many of you I've had direct exchange with. And yes, that is me responding to your messages. I talk to you every single day. And all of you talk about making change. Every single person I talk to wants to make some kind of change, wants to do something different. That's just my line of work. So I attract these people who are looking for this. If you're looking to make a significant or permanent change in your life, you must do exactly what the definition of hard says. Done with a great deal of force or strength from you. This is the force and strength that you have available. This is not unavailable to you. You have it. It's just a matter of, are you willing to tap into it and use it? Which means you got to do things that are unnormal for you, abnormal for you. It requires some force and strength because you got to break the inertia. Things that will require you to push yourself further than you're comfortable, harder than you're comfortable being pushed. In my line of work, I see it often enough to know that the following sentence is true. Most people are only comfortable being pushed when the pushing is spoon-fed to them. In other words, people are comfortable being pushed as long as they can do it at their own pace. They can take baby steps moving forward. Now, while I will grant you that a baby step is better than no step at all, here's the fundamental problem with baby steps. All right, you don't have enough time to only move forward with baby steps. You will run out of time moving with baby steps. I have a baby. I have a 1-year-old son. He is walking. He can walk. If I put him on his feet, he can walk. And so when I take him every Sunday morning, I take a nice long walk. It's about a 90-minute walk that we take. On those Sunday morning walks, I'm not letting him walk. I put him in a stroller. Why? Because he's too damn slow. His steps are too small. It will take us 5 hours to take that 90-minute walk if I had to walk at his pace. And when people are walking, you are anchored by the slowest person in the group. He'd be the slowest one in the group between me and him. So I put him in the stroller. We can get where we're going and get back home a lot faster with me pacing us than with him pacing us. Many of you are like the baby. You're like my 1-year-old son when it comes to your goals. It will take you forever to get there. And this is where you're at right now. It's taking you forever to get to your goal because you're moving too damn slow. You want to take baby steps to your goal. All right, you ain't got enough time to take baby steps. You're going to die before you get there. I'm not joking. I'm not exaggerating. You will die before you get there. At your current pace, you will die before you reach your goals because you're moving too slow. Because you're only taking small steps. You're only doing things that are comfortable for you. What's comfortable for you is what got you to this position of not having what you want. So you need to stop defaulting to what's comfortable and start defaulting to what actually works. Those are two different things. Again, baby steps is better than nothing. Slow motion is better than no motion, but slow motion ain't enough. You need fast motion. What did I just tell you in the episode about how to get more life out of your life? You need to change your default settings from slow and later to fast and now. Many of you are on this default setting of slow and comfortable. All right, what's comfortable, again, is what got you to the situation that you're in. That's why you're in it. You don't have enough time to move forward with baby steps. You will not get to the finish line at that pace. This is why I tell you that your default setting can't be slow and later. It needs to be fast and now. You have to be willing to deal with the discomfort that comes with that. All right, there is discomfort that comes with this. All right, any of you ever been on a roller coaster? Any of you like roller coasters? Roller coaster fans, listen to this. You know that part of when you're on a roller coaster, at least the ones that, there are different kinds of roller coasters. So you got the kiddie ones I'm not talking about. I'm talking about the adult ones. The ones that, there are some that are just focused on how fast they go. But I'm talking about the roller coasters that focus on height. The ones that focus on how high you go and how big the drop is. Those roller coasters. You know when you're on one of those roller coasters and it's going up and it's on that part where it's going up slowly up the incline before it gets to the top and it pauses for a second and then it just drops immediately. You know those roller coasters? You know that feeling you get when a roller coaster is climbing up and it's getting to that highest peak and it's going up, 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 up. And you look around at the park, the theme park, wherever you are, and you can see the whole park, 360-degree view. Is a great view, right? Beautiful view. But that roller coaster is going up, 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 and it's going up so slowly that they do this. They draw it out to build up the suspense. And then it gets up to the top and it pauses just for a moment before it drops. And then there's all this speed. Yeah, all you know what I'm talking about. Any of you has ever been on a roller coaster? Some of you have been on one once and you say you'll never get on one another time because you hate that feeling. Some of you get on it all the time because you love that feeling. All of you understand what I'm talking about, right? And you get to that moment where it's going up and you realize, okay, you can't get off and you're just stuck on this roller coaster. You got to deal with this, whatever's about to happen. There is no exit strategy to this. All right. You got to get comfortable dealing with that feeling. That's the feeling you got to get comfortable with. I'm not telling you to go to Six Flags or Disney and just get on a roller coaster and keep riding over and over again. What I mean by this metaphorically is you got to get comfortable with that feeling because that's the kind of feeling you should have when you're stepping out of your comfort zone. It should not feel normal to you. It should not feel comfortable or easy for you because comfortable and easy, again, is what got you here. What we're trying to do is get you out of here. You can't do that. You will not reach your goals. And this is not me doing some kind of doomsday prediction for your life. I mean, shit, look at your life right now. Right? I didn't make the situation what it is. You did. You in your comfort zone made you into the situation that you're in right now. All I'm doing is holding a mirror up to you. That's why I wrote the book called The Mirror of Motivation. Mirror motivation is not me motivating you. It's me holding the mirror up to you so you can start having a conversation with yourself because that's the most important conversation you ever have. Doesn't mean other people can't help you, but until you have the right kind of conversation with yourself, you won't even get the help that you need. And you're going to keep moving at your pace, being comfortable and losing relative to your goals. Again, not losing relative to what I think, losing relative to what you say you want. You're losing right now because of your comfort zone. Good news is you can change this. Let's recap today's class, which is it's supposed to be hard. All right, this is, again, one of those cold splash of water, slap in the face episodes that I need to drop from time to time. And I kind of do every day, depending on your makeup and where you are in your journey. But let's get into it. Number one, standards are what they are because they're not easy to stick to. That's why they're standards. This is why most people don't have any. This is why most people, you don't know what you're going to get out of them because they don't have any standards. They just go however the wind blows, and the wind can be unpredictable. And unpredictable does not lead to consistency. Consistency doesn't get paid for. Number two, average people are average because they do things that most everybody does, and they only do stuff that is relatively easy for them, and they live in their comfort zones. That's most of you right now. You're doing things that are relatively easy for you, and you're living in your comfort zone. You only move forward when it's comfortable for you to move forward. The problem is you will run out of time doing this. This process has gotten you to a precarious position where you will run out of time before you get to your goal. Number three, definition of hard means done with a great deal of force or strength. If you're going to make a significant or permanent change in your life, it will require exactly what this definition says. You got to do something that requires force and strength, meaning pushing yourself out of what you're used to and doing something different. You cannot get through life and get to the goals that you want to get to by taking baby steps. You will run out of time. That is a hard limit that we have on ourselves, is that we all are going to run out of time. The sand is running out of that hourglass. You can't take baby steps. You can't take a 90-minute walk taking baby steps. The baby's going to get tired. All right. Any of you got children? All right. You got to the point where your child was able to walk and you try to have your child take a long walk with you. What happens at some point during that walk? Probably about a quarter of the way through the walk, your child gets tired of walking, right? And they start complaining that they don't want to walk anymore, but you still got more walk to go. What do you got to do? You either got to have a stroller, or you got to carry their ass, or you got to call an Uber to get back home because the baby steps ain't enough. All right, that's you. All right, you're the baby. All right, you are the baby right now, moving too damn slow, and this is why you're not getting to your goal. And until you have a conversation with yourself about the change that you need to make and get serious about it, and then go get the actual help that you need to get this thing happening, you're going to keep failing relative to your own goals. Again, you're not failing relative to what I think about you. You're failing relative to what you have set for yourself. I'm just holding the mirror up to you, and hopefully some of you will thank me for this. And what you can do, even better, is you can go to workonyourgameuniversity.com and get my help so we can get you out of this nonsense and you can stop bullshitting yourself, taking baby steps, hoping that you're going to finish a marathon. It ain't going to happen. All that said, text me. Tell me the best point you got from today's class. Let me know you want to get the daily motivation. My number is 305-384-6894 and workonyourgameuniversity.com. That is where I do all my coaching. Go to workonyourgameuniversity.com and stop playing around with your life. All right, so you can be a success story instead of adding value to the most valuable real estate on the planet, which is called the graveyard. Work on your game. Dre all